All right, let's see. Welcome to this week's What the Heck. How is everybody doing?
Flipping
Newbie Law.
fantastic.
That's great. That's awesome. I don't know if you all watched You know what we should talk about is last week's what the heck. At some point. Um, Benjamin, hey, how's it going? All right, Alex, how's your week? I guess 2 weeks been since we haven't hung out in the
Oh
last week.
yeah. Well, haven't been as far as afield as remote deserts or anything like that. I've been kind of like pretty much hanging out and had a couple of had a couple of new modules land and been messing around with those, which has been fun. And then trying to figure out where my next temporary studio is going to be. Thing that I'm working on right now. Yeah, but it's all good.
Are you gonna build like Andrew Huang style floating
Oh my
studio
god!
room in the backyard?
I know. Look, like that's a like I'm watching those things, and he's going all in. The production value, like everything is amazing. Not quite that far though.
Yeah, well,
Mm.
I don't think we can go to space. I don't know that we've got the budget for that just yet.
How about you?
Um, I'm thinking about building that in my backyard, but I had a good I've had a good couple of weeks. A lot has happened in my life, and a little bit in the modular. Like I have this done a couple videos on here. Let me just make this full screen. Couple streams with it, but this new very rad sequencer that I very much love. It's just an 8-step Arduino sort of sequencer with some glide and
Mm.
ways to flip things back and forth, but it's pretty great. Like right
Oh,
now I have
that's
maths. Yeah, it's set up to do
that
some
looks really
cool stuff.
pretty as well.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and that's something from Tim MJN sent me the PCB, and I drilled the 65 holes to make it into a module. Um,
And so, what is it like? As it, per step, looks like it's got about eight, maybe 12. I don't know. It's hard to. Okay.
yeah, per step there's eight, and there's actually two. It's essentially two sequencers, right? You've got an outer ring of these slightly bigger knobs, and then the smaller ring inside, and
Okay.
those each ring goes to a separate output. So you could use it to control two voices if you wanted, or what I've been using it for is more where the outer ring is pitch and the inner ring tends to be something like either filter or the VCA to control volume level, that kind of thing. So that I've been sort of toying with turning it into my version of the drummer from another mother's sequencer. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
it's been pretty
interesting.
fun. Yeah.
And so I'm assuming it's non-quantized, so you're tuning by ear whatever the CV value arbitrarily you're deciding to assign,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So it's completely unquantized. I do have a quantizer somewhere, but I think at this point I don't know what I would sacrifice in my case to put that in there currently. But it hasn't been a huge problem. When I'm doing a lot of drum stuff, it's not as big of a deal for it to be quantized because some of those drum low ranges uh, you don't really notice. And I'm also doing some things like a separate attack release on the pitch so that it goes from really high to really low really fast, and you get that transient. But when I had pitch stuff playing, what I did was I used my tuner pedal to really quickly tune each one.
Okay, yeah. It looks fun and it looks beautiful.
Thanks. I very much appreciate it. Tim, if you ever watch this, thank you so much. It was terrible to make the faceplate, but it was awesome once it was done. Um, yeah, it's a fun sequencer. It's got all the things I've wanted. I've been looking at making something like that for a long time. It was just sort of hoping someone would make the PCB to make my life dramatically simpler. Because if you look at a lot of DIY forums and stuff like that, all those sequencers, it looks like a rat's nest of wires from behind to get all those potentiometers wired up and things, and I just don't love doing that that part of it. There's a limit to
Well,
my DIY.
yeah, I mean, good for you that you do that. Like you do tend to take it to the next level of like building your own stuff, which I think is awesome. And the sense of connection, I would imagine, I can only imagine because I haven't done that, has to be closer with the instrument, just because you went ahead and built it, and it's like, fuck it, I'm just going to really learn how to play this instrument that I invested all this time to go and do it, which I think is a great thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of that, and I'm sure there's a significant like IKEA effect where because I put it together, I like it more than I would have if I had purchased it. Um, and if it breaks, I know how to put it back together for the most part. I did fry 2 nanos in the process of this one because I did the usual mistake of like trying to finish at like 9 p.m. and wasn't awake. Yeah, it's a cool one.
And sorry, so I'm the new DIY space. What is a nano?
Oh, like an Arduino Nano. It's a tiny little. I should just go get them out of the trash, but they're like a little tiny. Think like a Raspberry Pi, but smaller. And it's on the back of that. I'm trying to think. Actually, hold on a second. I guess I could have muted the microphone before doing all of that, but let me pull it out of this one. This little bit is the Arduino Nano, so that's the microcontroller that does all the magic. This is the quantizer I was referring to. Yeah.
And then okay, so it's a, it looks like a chip. And then you how many did you bust through?
I blew through 2. I fried 2 of them on the last build, but that's because I put 12 volts into them.
So there's a semiconductor. There's a semiconductor and a circuit, and basically a shortage around the world. It sounds like you're quite responsible for this shortage. You're just blowing through them to a, like, you're the problem. You're the reason why Tesla and Apple are buying in bulk, because you're just.
You know, that would have been true at one point, but I got them months ago, and I haven't purchased really any new components since then. So hopefully, I'm not contributing too badly to the shortage.
Right.
I think the most recent things I got was that button, that button.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Let's go on to some other topics. Something a little less heavy than the component shortage. Actually, that might be a good topic because it's a delayed effect that's going to impact basically all the stuff that we're into in terms of modular and niche things. Let me pause. I'm just going to send Nubulon a link.
While you do that, I was having this random conversation with a guy called Paul Tass from Error Instruments.
Yeah, Error. Yeah, you turned me on to them, and I can't stop. Yeah.
Yeah, and so he was talking about precisely what you're saying, which is there's a bit of a rush on now by like across so many different industries, much larger than the modular synth world and DIY world. But like Paul himself was explaining, so he saw this stuff coming and he did a bunch of like pre-ordering, just like tons of stuff that he had a sense that it's going to go out of stock, and there's a rush on. It was crazy. It was just so interesting to hear, just from his perspective. This is a problem.
It's going to be a big one. it's going to impact like every industry, and it's happening in the next few months. And I don't know exactly how long it's going to last. It'll probably be a slow recovery, I think.
Is this working this time?
Yeah, we can hear you perfectly clear. Why am I still full
Wonderful.
screen? Let's do that. Um,
Well, I still haven't found my webcam, but audio is at least working today.
if since you're doing audio only, I'm going to try this feature where I think we can still hear you, but we don't
Testing?
take up screen space. Yeah, I can. Yeah, I think we're good.
Perfect.
Yeah, we can hear you nice.
So I've actually been affected by the component shortage. I was trying to buy some CMOS logic and couldn't get it on DigiKey. I had to get it through eBay.
eBay is going to be the hot place to get your 3 chips that
Sorry,
you need for the
sorry.
next several months.
I just sound of God. Like, who is this? And
Oh,
like,
this is
who we hearing?
Nebulon.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So a little intro. That would be great.
Yeah, let's do a quick intro. Who are you? And let's see, what are the crappiest headphones that you have right now?
So who am I? Well, I'm a noob at most things, but I did make the bot that notifies you all, so I've got that. Which
Nice.
I'm actually working on that right now. I've been kind of neglecting it.
So you're the reason my phone's always out of power.
Oh yeah.
Hey, but thank
I
you for
appreciate
that.
the work on it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Me
pretty
too.
cool. And
Oh yes, and the crappiest headphones I own. Oh, the last time I flew, I took the complimentary headphone earbuds just to see how they sounded, and they sounded worse than what I expected complimentary earbuds to be like. It was rather impressive.
turn them into microphones. There you go.
So I appreciate the intro. Thank you. So please go on.
Oh, yeah. Apple. Antone is saying their worst headphones are some Turtle Beach headphones or maybe Apple earbuds. But I gotta say, Apple earbuds for like the 2 cents that they cost Apple are pretty amazing.
Well, it depends on if you're talking about, I guess, the newer style one, the
No, I'm talking
beans,
about the really crappy ones that
the older
come with
ones.
every iPhone for like 10 years or whatever. The uncomfortable ones. Yeah, mine are some pair that were branded from a conference that just like I was wearing them. I'd worn them like twice. I didn't throw them around or anything. I didn't mistreat them, and just like the ear plopped off while I was listening to music.
So Nubelon, you were saying, sorry. So you were saying on the circuit front. Like, sorry. Thank you for introducing yourself. I like. So
Do we lose Alex?
We might
did
be.
you lose? Did you lose
Oh,
me?
no, now I can hear you again. You're back. Yes, we
Okay.
lost you. You just went like this.
Oh yeah. Sorry, Nubelon. Thanks for introducing yourself. So I'm sorry for that interruption. So like, carry on about what you were saying about electronics shortages and impact.
Oh yeah, some of the lead times for things are getting kind of ridiculous if it's not in stock at DigiKey or Mauser. Like usually it's pretty typical to see like 3, 4 weeks lead time on stuff, but there's some stuff where it's like 20 weeks lead time if you want to order something.
And a lot of the stuff that I've used has been disappearing rather quickly, like especially like op amps or components that are very common in modular builds have been evaporating.
I think I had to pay a whole dollar per IC on eBay.
Ooh. Normally it's like, yeah, depending on the
And this
IC, like
was
5 cents.
kind of a niche thing. It was like a multi vibrator, so not exactly the most common thing, but you know.
Yeah. Uh, I want to talk about DIY stuff, but I think we should save that for a future episode where we have you and maybe like Needless Mustard or somebody else like hop on and just like fully nerd out about ICs. But in the meantime, let's see, what do we got? Streaming setups. Should we talk streaming setups, Alex? Because you've got a pretty sick streaming setup. I don't know. Hey, chat. What should we talk about tonight? We've got a pretty empty slate because I'm lazy today.
All right. I'll talk about Error Instruments. I'm going to give Error Instruments my
Yeah,
love.
let's go Error.
Fuck yeah. Excuse me for my French there, but like, so a couple of days yesterday, actually, Error Instruments, that is a Holland-based modular synth maker. It is like does like limited runs of modules that are just a little bit weird and crazy and not all popular. So I bought a few weeks ago on one of them, which arrived yesterday. Is called the Indian Resonator, and it's a fun, crazy module that is pretty typical of Error Instruments, in the sense that you don't quite know what the hell is going on. Like, there's no manual. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's no manual with any of these things. You get like maybe these associated diagrams that look mysterious and arc, and maybe somebody had possibly consumed some amount of psychedelic mushrooms at the time when they were asked to create some documentation. And so like the hints of the, but Indian Resonator caught my attention when I heard a couple of audio demos, one of them by Cinematic Laboratories, and a couple of other YouTube videos. And so like I pulled the trigger, and it arrived yesterday, and I was on there just like for 3-4 hours, just messing around, trying to like decipher how does this thing work. It's got tones and things about it just that I enjoy. Like, I'm just kind of tuned into the way that this module sounds, and that's my answer to that.
This
question.
is gonna make me want to go off on a tangent because it's something that was I think a topic of discussion maybe last week in the DivKid Discord. Which, if you're not in there, it's cool, but you should donate to DivKid if you can and join, because there's lots of cool stuff there. That's my quick promo. But there was a discussion about controls, particularly make noise, and I think noise engineering also came up in a similar vein, where some folk, like, this is where folks were particularly polarized about the design of the modules and the design of the panels. And I think the Indian Resonator is right up that alley in a similar vein of a module that is amazing, is not going to do what you expect. You're going to have to learn it. Like some of my favorite instruments are that way, like the Bastel Soft Pop, where once you learn it, you can sort of bend it to your will, but at first it is a mysterious machine that does whatever the hell it wants, and the knobs don't make sense. And I feel like a lot of make noise modules are similar. They usually have some rhyme and reason, but it takes you a while to unravel that. And in the meantime, you get to explore and discover all sorts of cool stuff along the way. So I'm all about that type of design.
I personally try not to touch things that I can't like look at it and figure out what it does. I'm kind of more in that camp, really.
I mean, I get you. Actually, the fart box is a similar one. It's the like the Look Mom No Computer fart box in that like I wanted to know what juice did, right? So like when I built it, I put it together and I was like, I actually made a little cheat sheet for myself that was like, okay, these things are, this is oscillator one, this is going to be some FM modulation here. Like I mapped it all out. I've since completely forgotten it. But I do like to understand things, but that only makes me like the soft pump more because I'm like trying to understand like, okay, if I slide this up, I feel like three things are happening. What are those three things, and how do I use it to my advantage, you know? Oh, and you're back. I think, Alex, we gotta get you closer to the router.
That's why I
Or you can get the
I
router
don't know what
closer to
just
you.
said.
is it better?
We can only hear parts of what you're saying.
Okay.
Sounds like you're going through a make noise module right now. It's very robot, very chopped up. All right. In the meantime, Nuvulon, yeah. I mean, I feel you there. Like, I like to know what's going on, but I think there's a time and place for just not knowing and guessing. Having getting weird with the synthesizer. For sure,
I mean,
everything in
I
that.
feel that,
Yeah.
but I kind of
Yeah.
want to know like what each thing is doing, because like I love messing around with like feedback and
Right.
stuff like that,
Right.
and
Right.
like making weird things that way. But like I want to know like what each thing is doing,
Yeah.
at least before I buy it. You know, if it's
Oh,
somebody else's
for
rack,
sure.
then
I mean, it depends on the thing. Like the Morphogene, I love it, but I did end up selling it for that reason. Is like, and I did learn that one pretty well. It just took me a long time to be able to do anything that I was satisfied with it. Like it has sweet spots, and getting to those sweet spots were not in my immediate interest. They're definitely in my like second case plans at some point, but until then, I swapped it out.
I mean, sorry, can you hear me okay now?
yeah, you're
Oh
good.
yeah.
Okay, so I understand what you were saying, and I think that I've gone through a process of, you know, predictability is a really important part of any instrument that you. And it's going to be really hard if you have an instrument that doesn't behave as you expect it as you're trying to learn it. So I totally get that, and I think on the other, as I've learned the instrument, I'm looking for opportunities where the instrument can be less predictable, but apply the knowledge that I've learned in the more predictable context. One, and two, that what it unpredictably provides is somehow aesthetically pleasing to your own personal taste. And that kind of combination of, let's say, those three things, maybe it's just two, is a thing to explore. And Indian Resonator, for me, as an example, is like when I saw the demo videos, yeah, it was coming out with tones I just liked. And I recognized that the thing is a little bit quite random, But it's like, oh, I can live with it as long as what it's coming out with through its randomness is somewhat pleasing to my ear. And so that's a fun set of parameters to mess around with.
So like, I'm trying to think about this. The modules I like that have that sort of unpredictability, the ones I like the most have sort of a wide sweet spot. It sounds like like something that I don't have to dial in just perfectly. Like you can get a lot of good stuff without having to do that with it.
Oh, I had to dial it in.
Oh, very okay.
No, no. I did, like, because the range is so massive and the randomness potentially is really large, and so part of the fun is for me on this module has been like there is a sweet spot that I've I spent 4 hours just like recording and playing and just finding it. And what in the the recording was only 36 minutes, and I scrubbed through it today, and I probably found about, I don't know what, 5 segments of maybe 30 seconds where I went, oh yeah, okay, that's good, I like that. The question is, what do you do with that then? Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, well, like I send the whole thing to YouTube. Well, that's going to be a mess. So I decided today, for example, it's like, no. There's like 40, 50 seconds. I really liked it. I really enjoyed it when I was hearing it. And I just want to share it. And so I did a quick edit and I like just topped and tailed it and just threw it up onto Instagram. And that's my little throw out there. It's like, hey, that's what it is. It's not a track. It's just like, hey, a little play. There's a little sweet spot I found.
That's rad. That's great. That's where a good portion of my Instagram clips come from, is when I have that 30 seconds of good. I'm like, okay, I can't make a song out of this, but I can make a freaking rad Insta clip out of this. Let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, Richard Devine's a master of that, right?
Yeah. You know what? Richard Devine, I had not even heard much about until the last, I want to say, couple weeks even. But following this mad scientist has been a great journey over the last couple weeks. So definitely worth a follow as well. The segments build up over a week of track.
Benjamin's asked me to go into a door. Benjamin, let me tell you that I think the advice is sound, to pardon the pun, but I'm trying to avoid it right now. I think that, like, what I'm trying to do, because what I realized, like, out of that 35 minutes of recording, I realized there's probably a track in there. Like, there were so many different sections that I could probably go like, hey, that's rhythmic, that's a backdrop, like this is like high percussion, and this is like a little bit of this, and I can go off and like chop it and make it into a track. And so I appreciate the advice. I'm deliberately trying to take a different approach into how I capture and then share stuff that is, it's just less deliberate, and it's just form factor that I've decided to just play around with. I don't disagree with the advice. I think it's good advice, but I'm trying to just not do that right now.
Here's a question for y'all, chat included. Something I've been struggling with, and is the reason that I don't do many Instagram clips, is that I don't have a great way to get stuff on Instagram. Like if I record a stream, I can edit that in Premiere and export a few clips that sound good, sure. But I'm more interested in like sort of on the fly whim posts. That's where I think the most fun Instagram stuff is, and I use this nightmare of a dongle for my iPhone. And the thing about it is, it's never clear when it's connected or not. So I might record like a sick take 1 out of 3 times, because the other 2 times I either messed up or it comes loose. Like it doesn't tell you when it's connected or disconnected visually or auto. There's no feedback there. So if there's any alternative to that that's straightforward, I'm all ears, because I would love to to get stuff on my phone to share easily. I don't really want to
I
turn
know,
my
but
computer on.
Instagram ain't. I know that's the thing that drives me crazy, and this is a little bit of workflow that I've been trying to figure out. So it's like, so here's the workflow on. If you go to my Instagram, you'll see like a 50-second clip, and it's like, well, that took like a second to put together. Unfortunately, it didn't, but I was happy with the result. So here's how it went. It's like real simple, right? Instead of fucking around with 3 cameras, I took one camera, focused in on the thing that visually I'm interested in focusing in on. I've got a
Correct.
patch,
Right.
right? So that simplifies everything immediately. Just one camera, got it. That one camera is basically with my A10 Mini Pro, is writing to a hard drive and capturing the audio.
Yeah.
Click record, it's taking it 35 minutes. Got it. Free app called DaVinci Resolve.
DaVinci.
DaVinci Resolve is a free app,
Yeah.
and it's amazing. And there's a paid for version, but what you can do with that free version is pretty amazing. Now, the trick is 2 things. If the clip is going to be a minute long, you've got to make a little decision as the editor is like, well, what is that minute going to be? So there's that editing function. You can't get away from that if you're doing 30 minutes of recording, for example. But like, let's just say, hey, this is the minute. So good. I chop the end, I chop the beginning, and I've got a minute. Great. That's your in and your out. That's when I'm going to record. The secret I found today is through a couple of like cheeky but simple settings, you can optimize for Instagram as your target output from a video perspective. And assuming you're not going to do any processing on the audio side and you're not going to do any fancy transitions, I can repeat that workflow over and over and like get it down into like a few minutes. Now that is definitely more than taking your iPhone and plugging in an audio recording with a video and then uploading it to Instagram. It is for sure, but I'm not saying that is a better workflow than that, but that workflow worked for me, and I can repeat that, and I can optimize that pretty quickly to that easy in the future.
That's not too bad. What are you recording on the hard drive with? Like, how are you recording the audio and video?
So the A10 Mini Pro
Yeah.
has a USB out. It's a scan disc. It's got
I missed all of that. I know the ATEM Mini Pro has a hard drive in it, I believe.
No, the Mini Pro itself doesn't have a hard drive, but you've got a USB connector. So if you can get a scan disk as a USB external drive with a USB connection, you just press record and it just writes to the drive. And so the drive will then capture your video and your audio, and it'll sync up automatically when you put it into Resolve, into DaVinci Resolve.
Right. I'm gonna have to either hack mine into a Pro or find another, because I just have the ATEM Mini, just the vanilla.
Yeah. Okay.
And I haven't found it. Like, I haven't looked that hard, but I haven't found a great way to record video and audio. Like OBS does okay. Like it'll drop frames and stuff. But
so, speaking of OBS, just googling around, there should be a way to make some kind of marker like in your OBS recording. So like say you just have OBS running and recording to a file, and then you pretty much just have a hotkey that sets a marker. And so like whenever you get to that moment where it's like, okay, this is cool, like you hit the hotkey and then you can go back to that and look at what you thought was cool to go and edit. Just a thought.
Yeah, that's smart. I have yet to master that technique. I mean, I've got similar things like the GoPro's got markers, the my mixer has markers, and I just always forget the good stuff. Because usually when I'm playing the good stuff, I'm like, I'm
I think, but I
not
think
paying
it
attention to
takes a
recording.
playback. I think it takes a playback.
Yeah, yeah,
Like this is what it was like. I played back and I created markers inside of Resolve, like a start and an end, conscious of like a minute is what I'm optimizing for, and you just go back and you just make a decision. It's like this is the minute. I've got like another 7 or 8 snippets, potential clips that I might actually go off and do over the next couple of days. So I can like slow release, let's say,
yeah.
maybe another 3 or 4 clips from that same session. And then I have a goal in mind. It's like, it could be kind of fun to do a long form version of that on YouTube, which becomes a YouTube and maybe a SoundCloud version of a mixed thing of those things. There's so many ways of slicing this cheese is crazy.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Antone, ScreenFlow is the best video editor I have ever used, hands down. I hate the way they do the versioning and upsells and all that, but for basic video like screen capture and editing, it is phenomenal. There is no delay. Things are instant. Using something like Premiere Pro, when I use that after ScreenFlow, I felt like I was using a broken editor. Like it's that crappy compared to ScreenFlow. But the thing about ScreenFlow is I wasn't because I haven't got the latest version on this computer. I don't know if there's a great way to sync up audio, so that's why I haven't touched it too much. But I may be reinvestigating that because I hate Premiere. Sometimes you hear a song in your head if you have the DAW skills. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I always save clips, Benjamin, for the DAW, and I have like a nice folder of like hot track fodder, but I doubt that will ever get dusted off, at least not in the near future.
The hole only gets deeper.
It's only going to get bigger and more daunting of a folder, right? Like, who has the time? But also, it's more fun to play with that stuff. I don't know. Nubulon, how much time do you spend in a DAW?
None.
Yeah. Like, I need to bump the levels up a little bit on a track. Okay, I'll do that, but...
Well, really, it's more that I'm in kind of a learning phase right now, I would say. Like, I'm not here to make music. I'm here to learn this sometimes mess of an instrument so that later I can apply that to making music.
I mean, that's the way to go about it. It's a fun way to go about it. Yeah.
So yeah, I just haven't really been too concerned about recording things and making tracks. Just wiggle some knobs.
Yeah, I think...
I love that. I love that. Just
yeah.
like, I think that it just like really eases the pressure off you when you just do what you just described. No pressure. Enjoy the journey. It is what it is. It's entirely ephemeral. And, you do it again the next day.
For those of you just joining us, Nubulon is here. There's a setting to hide non-video participants, but it doesn't put like their name tag anywhere, which is kind of lame. So there's Nubulon's.
Yay!
There, right there. But back to the column that no one else can see.
All right. Hey, X7 is a question for you.
Shoot.
You had a one. Well, let's before we any more to add to the streaming setups conversation. Anybody?
Yeah, feel free to jump in about your streaming setups, about what you like, what you hate, or what you struggle with, and we can talk about it. Because I'm sure we've all encountered those horrible things. Like my personal least favorite is audio latency and video latency. Thankfully, Blackmagic simplifies that, having the audio and video go into the same device. They tend to stay in pretty nice sync as long as I don't pipe the audio or the video through something else first. And you see where I'm going with that.
Yeah,
so
it's got to be last on the chain, right? It's got to be last on the chain.
And I will say ATEM's software, while functional, I think is sort of, there's lots of room for improvement. If you're watching this, Blackmagic, please ping me. I will happily tell you. But one of the things I would love to be able to do quickly is do like picture-in-picture, which I'm going to make my screen bigger so you can actually see when I hit the button. So if I turn on, I think it's this button. Nope. This one. See, I don't even know how to do it anymore. Oh, there it is. Picture-in-picture, like this weird tiny picture-in-picture thing, and like resizing it, you have to go in and sort of type in the values to change it, whereas OBS, you can sort of drag things around. So
yeah,
I would love to be able to do that, because then I would fully switch to just using that, which simplifies so much.
Yeah. Yeah, I gave up on using ATEM as my actual streaming device. So I use ATEM Mini Pro as my video switcher and audio aggregator, as you described it just a second ago. And then I use OBS as my, like, that's what's involved in like putting it all together. And it just looks at ATEM as a device. And that simplified everything for me.
Yes.
And so those two things together work really nice. And I've just got a setup where it's like literally I can just plug it up, hit OBS. It's a standard setting I've got, and off I go to the races. And with EMS, as long as you're not messing around with keys and this, that, and the other, you like it's ready to go.
So yeah, and yeah, I can't sing its praises enough. Like for the most part, it does what it needs to do. It switches between cameras really quickly, and it has audio inputs, stereo too. All right, Antone asks, how do you not bump your camera? And the answer is I do all the time, but I have them sort of out of the way, so you can, again,
Go for
this real quick.
full screen, Hex 7, on focus on your
that's
stuff.
That's what I was doing, because you can see at least two of my cameras. So I have one up here that I hardly ever hit because it's like over my head, and then this one is fairly new. I got a fancy tripod and the arm thingy recently because I wanted a camera angle without bumping the camera, because before I had it just sitting like about this high, and because it's a GoPro, it has to be unusually close. There's not really like a zoom there, at least on the ones that I have the 5s. So it's like this far away from me when I'm working, so I would bump that all the time. So that's why I got this, and now I hardly ever bump it unless I'm trying to like get some water or feed the dog or something, and then I trip and it kills everything. So that's how I avoid bumping the cameras, but it doesn't really matter. Like, honestly, if you bump the cameras, it's kind of cool. If you have the cameras attached to like where the speaker is and you listen to your speakers loud and the camera shakes, also cool. So I would
just makes it feel more live.
Yeah, it's really so. And again, the GoPros all go through the ATEM, the Logitech C920, which is a mediocre camera. Does not, which complicates things. It means that video is always slightly out of sync. So at some point, this is going to be replaced by a GoPro, probably.
What's causing the missync? Have you figured that out?
Yeah, I figured it out. I think the ATEM is slightly more well, I'm not sure. Yeah, it's slightly more delayed than the C920. So the C920 goes directly into the Mac. The ATEM, the camera, and the audio all go into the Magic Box and then into the Mac as sort of a external device. So I think there's just a little bit of latency there. And,
interesting. Okay.
I haven't bothered with trying to sync them up too much.
I see.
Anytime you're working with like serial devices that are handling a lot of data, there's going to be some latency involved, and ideally you can kind of calibrate it where they all get delayed a little bit and they come together in a nice harmony, but that's work.
Yeah, so I think Alex is a little frozen, which is why half the screen is an oscillator. Um, but uh, yeah, you can add, like OBS has controls per camera that you can add like artificial latency to something if you want to sync things up. Um, Again, I have not bothered with that too much because in terms of like a special effect light show, it's not super important and it's close enough where it's fine. Question.
A nice little random question. I'm assuming it's from Musa. Is there a type of sound that you haven't been able to achieve yet? Something in your head that you want to replicate, but somehow.
I mean, everyone's answer to that's yes, right? Like, there's always some sound you're trying to get to that, yeah, like, yes. A good example of that was early on, I really wanted some, like, really gnarly good distortion for my synth. And no matter what I did with distortion pedals, it was not satisfying to me. And it turns out the sound I wanted actually wasn't distortion. It was two oscillators slightly detuned, and that was it. Like, that's all I needed, and that gave me the like the growl that you hear in a lot of the bass stuff that I use. So that was a sound that eluded me for a very long time, even though it's very simple in hindsight.
I've got the opposite answer to that question. 2 days ago, I accidentally stumbled into a beautiful wah wah pad. Like, I didn't expect it. What I was waiting for, I didn't know, frankly, what I was trying for. But like all of, you know, what I'm talking about, like the wah wah is like the guitar is like wah wah, like it's. What was it at the beginning of? It was a sample used by Public Enemy. Oh, I can't even do it, but it's like it's hardcore wah wah. And I went, oh my God, this is amazing. I could have, if somebody, I love that sound to answer now, so I'm going back, right? Like, I love that sound. If I try to figure out how to make that sound using modular, like, they'd be here to the end of Kingdom Come trying to figure that one out. And I just stumbled across it and I was like, what? That is amazing. This is power. Now, if you ask me, I'm now hooked on that now. I've been thinking about it now for the last few days. Immediately moving on. If I try to create that, I don't think I'd be able to. It was just such a random thing.
I love those happy accident sort of sounds where you're like, well, I guess I'm gonna make a track out of this now, or it's gonna be gone.
Well, here's a fun challenge. Like, so the other day, I'm going to answer Schmooze's question directly. I was working on a patch, and I thought, you know what would be really nice to be something like something that sounded like cello. I love a cello, and I worked on it, and I think I got pretty close. Now, it's not really a cello, but it had like a lot of pieces around it, but it's a complicated instrument, like tonally, like you're talking about vibrato, you're talking about bows, you're talking about a whole bunch of stuff. But I did get close. And, I think in a couple of weeks, we'll be able to share that output. And interesting to ask is like, well, what instrument does this sound like? They come out with anything like a cello would be a kind of fun thing. I may be disappointed in the answers.
It's sort of funny you mentioned that because like that's, if I'm remembering the instrument right, that's one of the first. It's actually one of the first. Well, let's see, it's the second patch I ever made on the Minilog XD. I called Yo-Yo, because like. how much like a cello that sounds, but to me it sounded really very much like Yo-Yo Ma cello, and I was so happy with it.
Yeah, that's nice. And it's close. And I think the trick with the cello, because it's a string instrument, that you've got this striking of the bow at the beginning, and it's not immediate. There's something about the VCA shape, let's say, that the envelope
Right.
that you've got to somehow like emulate, and it's really organic, and it's difficult to there. And then once the bow strikes the string, and there's an initial dissonance, let's say, but very quickly, but maybe in the time that you get from attack, to the middle part, let's say, it arrives, and then it's stable, and then it like disappears off as the bow moves on to get ready for the next string. And that's like, damn, that's hard. That's hard to patch that shit up in such a way. It's a beautiful challenge to try.
I agree, and yeah, I was gonna backtrack a little bit to like sound design sessions. Like I think what got me into synthesizers was actually sound design, like being able to change something and just I'm not even playing a song. I'm just playing with the sound for a couple hours, and that's something I still like to. It's like the main reason I build these synths is because I really enjoy that. And like you said, like I think I did a patch where I had not a flute, like an Irish or Celtic. What's that thing called? It's flute-ish. But I thought about it, the sound I wanted.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
A Celtic wind instrument, let's say.
Yeah, but I thought about, like, you think about it at a certain point once you're familiar enough with your signal chain, and I was like, okay, well, there's some breath involved, so I'll grab some MS-10, noise, just a little bit right at the beginning, where you get that heavy breath, and like a little bit of actually a couple ADSRs to get the envelope just right, and like that things like that. Like you can definitely way overthink it, but what I end up settling on is usually just like I want a similar flavor. I don't care if I get it exact, unless it's like, I don't know, we're in a competition to see who can get the closest to Yo-Yo Ma's cello or something. I don't want to do that competition. That sounds actually kind of like a nightmare. I'd learn a lot though.
Yeah. Well, it's always, I mean, I think I love the question, by the way, Shmusta. I think it's a fun exercise, and I think it really develops the muscles and the system that you've got in front of you to go and figure out, like, hey, there's a sound I have in mind, or I've heard on a track or whatever. What can I do to try and get as close as I can to emulate that sound? And you may not necessarily arrive at it, but you may arrive at something that you might like a lot, that is just different. And that's a fun journey for sure.
Yeah. Nubulon, have you tried it? Like, it sounds like you're interested in understanding how everything that you've built works, or just everything that you've got. Do you just do like sound design sessions where you're just hanging out playing with stuff, or
yeah, I mean, that's what I was doing with the Indian resonator yesterday. It's this new module, and I just spent, actually, before I recorded, which was only 30 something minutes, I was messing around with that single module for about 4 hours, just playing. Noob, what about you?
I think I don't spend so much time thinking, how can I make this sound? Oh, man, I'm in the spotlight now, aren't I? I don't spend so much time thinking, like, how can I make this sound? I really spend a lot more time thinking in terms of like, what does this sound like? So like, I'll have like a thought about something that I can do, like how to, like kind of a seed for a patch. And so I'll start with that and just start adding in the modulation, just kind of see where it goes and see what I like more than I want to replicate this sound.
I mean, that makes sense. That's similar to what I do. Although sometimes, like with the Micro Freak, it's just fun to like go make weird stuff, like way out of the box. Like,
Oh, that reminds me of something. Uh, I made a terrible, terrible uh, patch at some point in VCV Rack. It had something to do with like feedback with a chorus, and it was so gloriously terrible. I might have to dig that up.
dig it up and stream it. Come on. Alex has to step away for a second, so it's just me and you, Nubulon. Let's talk about ICs until Alex is back.
I might be able to find it real quick. I might be able to play it directly through here.
Let's do it. Yeah, I think you can share your screen. In the meantime, I have this, like, this is something I got at the beginning, and I've hardly touched other than like the first, I'd say this much of it is all about synthesis and various components in synthesis. And that part's really, I think, pretty solid if you're a very beginner, but the rest of it are literally straight up recipes, like in a cookbook on how to make sounds, and I've made a handful of them, and so far I'm like 0 for 10 in terms of getting anywhere near what they're supposed to be. Oh, the book
See
is
if
the
this will work.
synthesizer cookbook. Yeah, sure, let's see. Let's try it out.
Well, it's an audio file. I'm not sure if it'll play through this play local video thing.
Oh, wow.
I should probably open it in something and see if it's actually the thing.
Alright, I'm gonna check the chat real quick. You need more MIDI to CV converters. Oh, MIDI to CV, yeah, I just found out mine can go up to 6 channels and basically 6 channels with 6 volts per octave coming out and 6 gates, and holy crap, that was a huge, awesome change that I had to redo all of my previous sequences to assign the right things. Anyway, best converter. The SQ1's pretty rad as a converter. I actually used the BeatStep Pro for a long time for it. Because you get the 3 channels plus the drum rack, I guess.
I've kind of had a chicken and egg problem with MIDI because I don't have any like hardware synths, and I don't really like working in the computer. So it's like, why? It's like, if I do this, I'm gonna have to like put a big investment into it, and then maybe find out that I don't really like that workflow.
Well, I would say, yeah, I don't know. That's something you're gonna have to decide and feel out on your own. But
Yeah,
I
think I do have a plan for that though. So there's a really neat synth that I've been eyeing. It's, what's it called? The Mega FM.
Oh
it's
my gosh.
2 Mega Drive FM chips.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull that up because that is something that I've been daydreaming about for no reason, no good reason other than it's freaking awesome. Go on, give us the spiel while I look it up.
And just the demos always seem so excellent. And I think that's like the kind of thing to actually push me to get something MIDI controlled. And then Befacco has like the CV thing, right? Where you can like take your CV and map it to like MIDI CC stuff. So I think like those two as a pair is gonna get me into MIDI.
Yeah, and that's the downhill. You're about to, whatever money you thought you had saved up is about to go away, because that's similar to what I did. I actually, let's point the camera at the culprit.
At the culprit.
That the Roland SE02. Well, it's this is Studio Electronics collaboration with Roland. That one was my. That's what killed my wallet, and ultimately, it's what. Basically, I needed. Okay, I got that. Now, how do I sequence it? Okay, I've got a USB keyboard controller that does not talk to it. Okay, so I'm stuck with the buttons on there. So I get another keyboard. That's where I got the key step. Then I realized I actually can't play the piano very good. Anyway, it snowballs. I would say of the things that I've had, actually, is the Mega FM polyphonic? I think it is.
It is. It has different modes. There's like
Yeah.
the 12 voices because each chip is 6 voices. So like you have like the stereo 6 voice, or you can do it in unison, or
yeah. It's go look it up and listen to the sounds. I'm not going to try to play a video.
And also, it's an FM synth where all of the operators are just broken out. There's no like fiddly menus to program it, and you don't need like a companion software.
But I will say it is still fiddly because
just because it's FM.
No, well, it is FM, but that's FM aside. It looks massive if you look at that photo. It's not very big. It's actually pretty small. I think like look on the computer, somebody was playing with it, and you realize just how small it is. So all of those little sliders, you're like, I guess it would be a good introduction to Eurorack physically. Like it's a small, like Eurorack has a lot of small sliders and knobs and things. So
yeah, it's probably about the same spacing as like Stages, for example, which I use all the time. It's like not something that you want to perform on, but it's like enough to get you there.
Yeah, and I will say with the price tag, like it's hard for me to hate that price tag because that's like around the same price as the Morphogene for what I consider a pretty massive synthesizer. I get like this person, just this one person making it, and I can't believe how cool of a thing it is. And yes, I would also prefer the Cosmo version, but have you seen the Cosmo version? It's like it's like
It's like
80
a whole
centimeters
row.
by like 60 centimeters. Like the Sega is on it, and it's small compared to the rest of it.
And this has 2 of those.
Yeah, so yeah, that one's pretty cool. So I get that. So I would recommend, like, if you do go that route, consider like, oh, Alex is coming back. Consider a MIDI sequencer of some sort that's hardware that will be expandable.
Yeah, so I
beyond just one
have
synth.
a Beat Set Pro already,
Sick.
which you know
Yeah.
that's 2 channels of notes. But I've been since last week's What the Heck, I've been looking a little bit at trackers, and so I'm kind of considering if I'll get like the the Polyen tracker eventually.
The Polyen tracker, yes. And that wouldn't be a bad one. Like it's not. I would lower your expectations to it to whatever is out today on the software. Like, if you get more updates and stuff, cool. But it's already pretty solid. But it is a tracker. It does have. I'm trying to remember. Like,
Because it
maybe
seems
just a couple of
like
MIDI outs.
a what's the word? A sequencer, but more visual. So like, there's a lot of information there that you can look at and read, as opposed to like the limited information display of, say, the BeatSet Pro.
Yeah, and I just want images.
But still, I've never used a tracker. So what I've actually done, there is a tracker for Game Boy called LSDJ,
Yes.
and you can for about, I think it was like $35-40, you can like get a cart and have them burn it on it.
Yeah, and that's something I'm interested in as well. I purchased the. It's a different product. Well, it's something I'm also interested in, and I think that's an excellent. Like if you've got an old Game Boy lying around, that's the way to go to try out a tracker, because it is a good tracker. And there's also like the NerdSec if you want to go Eurorack. And actually, I think the NerdSec has a standalone, if I'm remembering right.
It does.
Um, and both the Game Boy and the NerdSec have similar sort of interactions, or LSDJ have similar interactions. You can even use a Nintendo. I forget what kind of controller, but you can use a controller with the NerdSec.
I'm gonna just. Can you hear
It's the
me?
Mega Drive. Yes, we can.
I'm sorry. I'm just gonna throw it because like trackers. I'm just gonna share a perspective. Like trackers really appeal to me because the stuff that I've seen other people that have trackers and know how to use them, what they can make appeals to me, like because it's glitchy and it's fast moving, and I can hear lots of little variations in patterns, and I really like that. Let's say the audio aesthetic of the output of trackers, I like a lot. The thing that I haven't jumped in there is what I don't want to do is feel like I'm in a ball that is even more constrained and there's a small screen and I'm bending over for hours trying to program shit. And I don't mean that to diss what a tracker is, but like that's my aversion to why I haven't gone there. It's just like I can just imagine me just like bending over like myopically, like programming things for hours, and I'll wake up like a cripple walking away, not being
Alex,
able to, you know what I mean?
I love you, man, but like I can't even believe that you're into trackers after we've talked about other sequencers. Like it's so surprising to me. Like I also get the appeal. Like it's a totally different way of working that'll produce completely different results.
I mean, what I'm
It's
saying is like I can see why I cannot like it's appealing to me. The paradigm is appealing to me. The physical form factor given Eurorack would be like I think it would break me in a day.
We need a Cosmo tracker, but I think bringing it back a little bit, the Polyand tracker does have a pretty nice, as far as trackers go, a gigantic screen compared to other trackers. So I think that's a good plan, Nupulon, to start with in terms of a hardware sequencer, and it's also got
I'm sorry,
built-in
no,
sampling.
did I misunderstand or miss here or not here at all? Do you have a tracker? Do you use one day?
No, I'm kind of thinking about it. I was introduced to how the NerdSec actually works on the last What the Heck. So that's been kind of floating around my brain. But I got an LSDJ cartridge that'll be here in a few weeks, so I can play with that and see how I like it.
Want to hear about it?
Yeah, I can't wait to see anyone use it. Yeah.
Oh,
I think you said Julia Bondar through your cool robot voice that's happening right now.
sorry.
All right, so there was a loop hop video that's a walkthrough of Julia Bondar's setting. If you're not, or setup. If you're not familiar with Julia Bondar, they are, I think, a co-founder of Endorphins, if not like the co-owner or whatever. Huge respect and amazing music. Um, but this is maybe one of the first loop hop videos that I was pretty much glued to. And that's not because loop hop is bad, it's because I have a short attention span. But in this case, it was really fascinating to me to uh, watch Julia go over the the setup that she uses live and how it's configured, and some of the thought process behind it. For example, uh, instead of using like she uses the BeatStep Pro, or I guess used now that the ground control is out, but she used the BeatStep Pro as the primary sequencer in the video. And instead of using any CV out of the BeatStep Pro at all, it's all going via MIDI into her case. And like that's, I think, a really smart move. And that's because she was talking about setup. Like when you're setting up for performance, like the simpler you can make it, like in this case it's one cable instead of all of the cables for pitch and gate for all your voices and things like that. You've just got one cable, you plug it in, and then your Eurorack's ready to go in terms of being sequenced. Like those kind of gems really help me think about live setups, how you can arrange your modules or compose your modules to be flexible. Like it was a really just a great video, so I highly recommend that. I'm going to drop the link in the chat in just a second.
I keep wanting to. I haven't done it yet. I keep wanting to make like a snake cable for the BeatStep Pro, where it takes all of the like CV and gate outputs from the back, and just goes through to a panel that's like mounted like in the rack that just passes through all the signals.
Yeah, I've got that cable right here. It's this MIDI cable. It's
But then
awesome.
you have to have MIDI to CV converters, and that's cost.
That is true. I did build my MIDI to CV. You won't be able to see it with that camera very easily because it's covered in cables. But there is this module here with all of the cables coming out of it on both sides. It's like a cable fountain. That is a MIDI to CV converter, and it is awesome for many reasons other than Cosmo format. It has two MIDI throughs, so one MIDI in and two MIDI throughs, so you can continue to chain things. So right now I'm only using one of them to go to the rample so that I can control the rample via MIDI, but like I'm a huge, despite the pains, I'm a huge fan of MIDI just because it simplifies a lot of things, especially like when you're talking drum voices. I would love a MIDI controlled drum voice Eurorack module at some point, just because I don't want to have like 5 triggers out taken just for that. But yeah, everything needs MIDI through ever. If you're, please put MIDI through on everything you build, please, in the future, everybody. Yeah, Antone, take a look at the video. It's a good video that'll get your gears spinning a little bit about live setups. Yeah, and I'm trying to think of some of the other things. Oh, like some of the other cool bits. I don't want to play the video because I don't want to like get this video taken down or get Schmooster more warnings or whatever. But one of the cool modules that Endorphins makes involves sort of like, I forget what they call it. It's like auto tune or something. But like, it basically you put a pitch in there, the control voltage going in, and it just automatically adjusts the control voltage to make sure the oscillator's in tune. Just does that for a few oscillators, and it's a really fast way to quickly tune your stuff, especially in a live scenario. I thought that was an amazing little touch. Oh, is Alex? I'm sorry, Alex.
That's cool. That's cool. I was going to ask, because you don't want to play the clip because you don't want to end on copyright. But like, seriously, like I clicked on the link, I listened to like 20 or 30 seconds of it, and I went like, "F yes." Like, this is sounding amazing. So I've got that on my save for later. I'm definitely going to listen to it later, but like, if you can, definitely check it out. So good.
And I'm actually going to look up a couple of the modules that, just because I forget the names of almost all Eurorack modules, and I'm sorry for that. But if there's a list in front of me, I can pretty quickly. Okay, so what was it called? It was the Shuttle Mates, I believe, is the one that does sort of auto tuning, if I'm remembering correctly. Nope, that's MIDI to USB.
Well, I was going to say, like, just looking at the screenshot again, almost everything is endorphins except for a couple of modules. One is the Magneto by Strymon, and the other one looks like a sample drum by Erica Synths. But scanning, we've got what, 2 rows of 84 HP and maybe what, like 54 of it ain't endorphins.
Right. I mean, that's I would expect that from somebody who works and is the co-founder of Endorphins, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's going to be mostly endorphins. I expect that last bit of HP to be sucked up by the ground control or something else. Because how could you not use the ground? Like, the ground control feels like a love poem to the BeatStep Pro and a few other sequencers combined into one magical Eurorack module. If I was going to get a Eurorack sequencer, that's probably top of my list right now. Maybe NerdSec. But again, NerdSec's like I have no experience with trackers, so I would probably not start with that. I'd start with the Game Boy just to get a feel for it. Speaking of Game Boy, that's on my list of projects to do, is cannibalize my Game Boy and turn it into an oscillator, so it'll be in that at some point. But for now, I'm playing Pokemon Red. Yeah.
Oh, I love these chats. I'm just going to say, I love these chats. I love these chats, Hex7 and Noob, just to be able to connect. I love these chats when we've got EMS having a chat with us and bouncing off us and on the text. I love these chats. I've just got to say, I love these chats. I'm just saying it.
They're so much fun. I think I'm gonna check the chat. Not happy with perform live. I have no idea if I can perform live, like live. I feel like I'd get there and I'd be excited about it, and it would take me 45 minutes to set up and then play for 15 minutes.
Well, here's a quick question. I know that one thing that was going on, that, let's say, conflicted with our usual time was Peaks, and Forestine was performing. A wonderful, amazing member of EMS. I know I've got it on my watch later list. Did anybody get the opportunity to watch the stream live? How did it go? I'm just curious.
I have not. That one's one I'm gonna have to watch. Like, I do most of my catch up before bed.
Oh,
but I will say Forestine's only.
And good for Forestine, like, as part of. I know, right? Like, yeah, I agree. And
I know Forestine was sort of frustrated at this one. One of her modules died, like, during the test for the show. So repatching is sort of a big deal at that point, especially when it's a central module. Let's see. Oh, watching now. Oh, well, why don't we just let you all watch? We've been going for an hour and 20 minutes. Let's all hop into the stream.
But is it live now? I think it's
now?
done. No, I think it's done. It's got to be done.
Okay.
Like, it started at 7 p.m., which is 1 hour and 23 minutes from now. Ago. So I think it's. I think it's done. And so all I'm saying is I'm going to go off and check that stream, and you know, I think that like EMS is an amazing community because we support each other. Like when we happen to get like plucked out of the ether, and then we happen to be part of like a show, we show up for each other, and I love that. I love that. And
Yeah, let's
so
show up. Let's get the link. Let's hop on.
yeah, well, I think it's done. I mean, like, I think it's
Frederick is saying it's still going. I guess.
really. Is that
Yeah.
right? Is that right?
Yeah,
It's still going.
let's hop on. Let's jump in as a group.
Well, there we go. Look, how about that? You know, is that the right time to say sign off and we all go there and have fun?
Yeah, I'll do a really super quick exit music, and we can hop on. All right. I don't know what this one has just been stuck in my head all day.